The corrupt messaging from the trans community employs a subtle but deliberate trick designed to persuade others to affirm their deeply held personal beliefs. But beneath the surface of their narratives lies a cunning tactic that exploits empathy, particularly among the compassionate and unsuspecting, to blur the line between subjective experience and objective reality. The trans movement's reliance on playing the feeling card misrepresents thoughts as feelings. Using linguistic analysis and a personal encounter, I will expose the flaws and deception in their harmful message. You see, at the heart of trans ideology is the assertion that one's gender identity is rooted in an internal sense of self, often framed as feeling like a different gender. They, them, insist not only on their right to this belief, but also on universal acceptance of it, demanding that society conform to their narrative. This demand extends to vulnerable spaces such as primary schools, where impressionable children are exposed to these fictitious ideas. Critics argue this represents indoctrination, as it introduces complex concepts of gender identity to minds not yet equipped to critically assess them. As a responsible parent, one must vigilantly protect their children from such influences, ensuring their understanding of self is grounded in biological reality rather than ideological persuasion. The trans community's public displays of pride project an image of confidence and celebration, but as Solomon said, pride goes before a fall. The rainbow flag, a symbol of this movement, has become a rallying point, but its prominence does not exempt it from scrutiny. Too many have suffered under its banner, from those grappling with unresolved trauma to families torn apart by ideological divides, and children abused by puberty-blocking hormones and genital mutilation, deceptively referred to as gender reassignment surgery. The flaw in the trans narrative became starkly apparent to me during a recent encounter in a laundromat. I reconnected with a friend I hadn't seen in a decade, accompanied by her 15-year-old daughter Daisy. I remembered Daisy as a joyful girl who sang as she wandered through the forest. Now, with short cropped hair and masculine clothing, she was barely recognisable. Her mother explained, "Daisy identifies as non-binary," responding to my obvious surprise. With genuine curiosity and an open mind, I greeted Daisy warmly and asked her to explain what non-binary meant to her. "I feel like a boy on the inside," she replied. Her words, delivered with quiet conviction, lingered with me as we exchanged pleasantries before I left for home. On the long drive home, her statement, "I feel like a boy on the inside," echoed in my mind, prompting a deeper reflection. Something felt amiss. As I wrestled with her words, a revelation emerged. Daisy wasn't describing a feeling at all. She was expressing a thought. The phrase "I feel like" is a common colloquialism, but it often masks a thought rather than a feeling. Grammatically, "I feel" should introduce an emotion or sensation: hunger, joy, pain. For example, "I feel happy" describes an internal state, while "I feel like a boy" implies a belief or judgment about one's identity. In Daisy's case, her statement more accurately translates to "I think I am a boy on the inside." This distinction is critical because it reveals how trans ideology exploits cultural norms around feelings to evade scrutiny. Whenever you hear "I feel like" or "I feel that," what follows is a thought, not a feeling. Feelings are subjective, deeply personal experiences that we typically accept without challenge. If someone says that they feel sad, we don't demand proof. We trust their self-report because emotions are inherently private. This cultural deference to feelings makes them a powerful tool for persuasion. By framing gender identity as a feeling, trans advocates position their claims as sacrosanct, discouraging dissent as insensitive or cruel. Yet thoughts and ideas, unlike feelings, are not immune to evaluation. They operate in the communal marketplace of ideas, where they can be debated, tested, and rejected if found wanting. When Daisy says, "I think I am a boy," her statement invites scrutiny. A thought, unlike a feeling, requires justification. What evidence supports this belief? Is it rooted in biological reality, psychological distress, or social contagion? These questions are not only fair but necessary, especially when such thoughts lead to life-altering decisions. By conflating thoughts with feelings, trans ideology sidesteps rational discourse, leveraging empathy to silence legitimate inquiry. The confusion between feelings and thoughts has profound implications, particularly for young people like Daisy. Adolescence is a time of self-discovery, often marked by uncertainty and susceptibility to external influences. When thoughts about identity are presented as unassailable feelings, it risks entrenching confusion rather than fostering clarity. This is especially concerning in educational settings where gender ideology is increasingly taught as fact, potentially shaping impressionable minds before they can critically engage with these ideas. By refusing to challenge thoughts disguised as feelings, we risk abandoning those struggling with identity to a narrative that may not serve their long-term well-being. The trans movement's sleight of hand, presenting thoughts as feelings, exploits our compassion, but it comes at a cost. It stifles honest debate, confuses the vulnerable, and erodes the foundation of objective reality. We must reject this manipulation, not out of cruelty, but out of a commitment to truth and care. Compassion without clarity is a disservice. It leaves individuals like Davy adrift in a sea of unexamined ideas, vulnerable to irreversible choices. To move forward, we must learn from the linguistic analysis to restore the distinction between feelings and thoughts, encouraging open debate while avoiding being hijacked by the feeling trap. Parents, educators, and society at large have a duty to guide young people with both empathy and reason, ensuring they navigate identity with safety and a clear understanding of their biological reality and psychological needs. No more trans grooming of our children in primary school. It's time to restore the truth that there are in fact only two sexes, male and female,